There is a reason we hear this time and time again. Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Maybe we don't hear it time and time again, but I have this instilled in me. And for athletes, coaches, anyone really striving for greatness, preparation is the silent work that turns dreams into reality. And this comes from the opportunity I had to learn this from someone who carried an Olympic gold. Now, I'm not going to drop his name because of how we were talking and interacting and everything else. But this person really, really, really embodied this phrase. It was one of the first things we talked about. It was not just words, it was put in action. They had the stories, the struggles along the way, you name it, and this meticulous way of preparing, putting preparation in. I realized that it's something very simple, but yet so profound. Success is not magic. It's built in the preparation. So today we're gonna dive deep into the art of preparation, unpacking the steps, the tools, the mindsets that really separate good performances and great ones. So what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Athlete's Health Podcast, the Athlete's Health Deep Dive, this weekly episode where we get a mental performance theme of the week, dive deep into its insights through some tips, tricks, tools to remember it, and tools to apply it. Now, the goal here is to just give more value to the audience, athletes, coaches, parents, anyone giving you a glimpse into some themes and topics surrounding mental performance in these longer conversations, and then also what some conversation points in our coaching could also entail. Now, ultimately, aiming to help you out, get you using these tricks, adding these tools to your tool belt, to your bag, and up that mental performance. Then at the end, maybe you're more intrigued to check out some of our coaching services. But each week we have a theme, and this week's theme is preparation. Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So without further ado, let's dive deep into preparation. And that brings us to tip number 1. Preparation starts with questions. And like I said, I met with this Olympic gold medalist. Okay. He had some successes. And I realized that preparation starts with honest reflection. Honestly, what am I doing? What could I do more of? I just got off the call with someone and they said, are you really doing your best? And it just took me back. If that simple of a question, it comes back to this of preparing, of preparation starts with questions. So 3 questions that I often think about is, how do I prepare right now? What don't I prepare for currently? And how can I prepare better? If we hit those, we hit kind of what we're doing now, what's not really doing now, what's not really working, and what we can do to get better. And we can do this in any sport, any event, any work outing, you name it. This is a universal, but we are going to tie it into our athletics, right? So this trick is the power of the 3 prep questions. So write these questions down every Sunday night, every night. Depends on when you want to reflect, how much you want to reflect on your preparation, how much you think you do prepare. Maybe you do this and you're like, I don't do this at all. Maybe this is going to be a more nightly routine, daily routine. Maybe it does only need to be like a week, and it's asking these questions of, how do I prepare now? What am I not preparing for? And how can I improve as the week progresses? And the other thing we can do is kind of audit an area of our life or performance that we are kind of feeling incomplete in, that we think we could do better or we want to do better. And that is when we can right away start using these preparation questions to level it up. And so, for instance, in some non-athletic tasks, I wasn't really preparing for some small ones like organizing my schedule or some sleep at times, which ultimately hurt my performance in those big moments, in those, if it's athletic, in some big just rec games I was playing. It was hurting my momentum, my performance. And that's why this preparation isn't even just physical, right? But it's in every aspect, these little details that we are talking about. Otherwise, if we are talking the Preparation starts with questions. I can ask myself, how many times have I done my hip or accessory muscle exercises for the week? And if it's, "Oh, I haven't done many," well, then I already start to have some of those pains and aches. And I know if I do them, it feels better. And that's ultimately why tip number one is preparation starts with questions. All those things that we related to of what do we need to do better at is a question. Trick, the catchy name with the power of three prep questions. How do I prepare now? What don't I prepare for? And how can I improve? Do these once a night, once a week, whatever the case. Tip number two is repetition creates instinct. Early on in kind of any of my endeavors, I would spend hours preparing and others would cram. They get the similar results. All right. And this is kind of in school and then grad school, and it goes to any athletic event too. And I can tie it back to some of the biggest things I would do, but then to any other athlete as well. But we put in all that time up front, right? Others can cram, they can rely on just their ability, whatever the case is. And at the moment, it works out. It's okay. But over time, the repetition turns into instinct. It's what we automatically do. That becomes a superpower. And once you kind of get that feel for it, it's automatic. Kobe Bryant, jersey behind me, when he would go to the gyms the extra times for the day, and maybe it would only be one or two extra times versus his competition. But these would be the hours of prepping, while others would just cram or rely on what they have. And over time, he says that is what gave him the greatest advantage, because it does turn into the instinct. It's the repetition turns into what he knows he can do, and it's automatic. And it's the same thing in whatever we're hitting on. That's why this trick is the muscle memory method. What we need to do is get those big goals, okay? Whatever it is, whatever we're thinking of, that first thing you thought of is probably it. Break it down into some small, repeatable daily tasks. Maybe it is 10 minutes of skill work of juggling. Maybe that's the physical side. Maybe it is more visualizing. Maybe it is studying the film, whatever the case is. And then track these repetitions, track the consistency. Do it for a week, see the progress, do it for another week. Keep this going, see the time, see it over time, and see how it progresses, because that's ultimately what we want to make sure we can do, is track this over the time. And watching all these elite athletes, no matter who it is, you can see within their preparation that it has that second nature instinct, right? You see some of the stuff they're doing. Were they doing that in high school? Maybe just a little bit, but I know a lot of athletes who went to college and they get so much better then, right? They're not even playing. I know we think about all the ones who can highlight reel, right out of high school, but there's so many people who play their junior year, their sophomore year, who take that time. They get more of that muscle memory method going. They put in the hours of work that really level them up. In addition, there's more people tracking their stuff. There's better centers tracking their stuff. So it is really kind of entailing all this stuff. It makes it instinct. They prepared so deeply. They know what to do without hesitation. Tip number two, repetition creates instinct. The trick, the muscle memory method. And those tools break the big goals into some repeatable tasks that we can use and track it. Thank you for listening in and watching the Athlete's Health Podcast. I just want to put this on your mind here. Upgrading the mental side of both the athletics and life, tying it into the physical stuff that we are doing. Come 2025, our mental gym is going to be revamped to studio level video quality, and our worksheets, everything will start to be licensed out to organizations, to schools, places to implement this. If you want to check out the mental gym, let me know. Otherwise, we got our online community where we are diving deeper into these deep dive subjects each week, live Q&A with the online community group where you can ask any questions about any of your teammates or anyone in the sorts, and we can hash out those mental sides and elevate the game in the online community. Otherwise, our one-on-one coaching is still leveling up. Let me know if you want to be a part of it as I keep taking on more athletes, coach them on the mental side, and sharpen their skills very specifically to their needs. Otherwise, keep enjoying this free content. I love to help you out, give you the value. If you want a little bit extra sauce, check out the weekly newsletters every Sunday. Free trick and tool on this topic that only people on the newsletter get. Check that out at the website, theathleteshealth.com. Thank you for watching and leveling up your mental game. Tip number 3 is a little different here, but it's prepare for life beyond the performance. Okay, because at some way, shape, or form, the game's going to stop. But preparation does not stop at the game. It expands. It goes into the work, the school, the social settings. Okay, the people who prepare well in all these areas of life build the consistency, the confidence, and really translate it into their performance. It's not just in one piece. It's not just in the sports, but who prepare in everything, build that consistency, that confidence, being able to withstand the pressure in whatever the case is. That's why this trick is the whole life prep. Prep the whole life. Tools is kind of those nagging pieces, okay? It could be the sleep, it could be the nutrition, it could be time management. Okay, all these pieces that also then do fully affect the athletic performance and the physical training. We can prepare for some of those nagging ones that maybe have been on the back burner. Like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. We can just schedule 10 minutes a night, plan out the top 3 priorities for the next day. Maybe it is school, sport, and personal. Do one of each and make sure we're implementing those, because I can tell you firsthand from so many people that I've talked to, the athletes who balance the school, the training, and life responsibilities are going to perform better under the pressure. Whatever the pressure is that they have, they're organized. It's not just about their sport, but it's how all the other things organize into their sport, their athletic performance. And it's preparing for that entire picture. Otherwise, they have one thing nagging them down, or otherwise they don't care about it. And then down the line, it comes back and bites them in the butt, i.e., 78% of NFL athletes going broke after they retire from their average 3-year in the NFL. Tip number 3, prepare for life beyond performance. Trick, whole life prep tools. Get those nagging pieces, those ones that maybe have been the back burner, and schedule a little bit of time to prioritize for the next day and plan out also how, when we're going to do them. Not just, all right, I'm going to do these tomorrow. That way it actually gets down. Because if you're modeling any athlete you're modeling, they have these other categories prioritized to and prepared for. Tip number 4 is plan farther out than you think you need to, than you think you should. And this is because many people, you probably have done this once or twice. I've done this once or twice. Plan at the last minute. They cram for the match, test, New Year's goal, vacation, you name it. That's mine, a late packer. But the real preparation begins earlier. It's, when do I need to pack? When do I need to study? When am I going to do this? Reverse engineer the success. Set the goals for the weeks, the months, even the years in advance. You look at who you're talking to, who you're idolizing, and I promise you, they are thinking years in advance, and they're also planning it out. They have someone helping them plan it out. That's why this trick is the walk back plan, where we're going to use these tools of identify that one big goal for the next 12 months and walk it back by quarters, every 3 months, quarters, then monthly, and then weekly of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and at least start there. Use the calendar, mark the little days, track the milestones, see what we want to do, and then also track what we're going to do. And I mean, full honesty, I need to do that one a little bit more too, but that's also why I'm just preaching this. And just in the sense, any team that we work with or any athletes, the preparing for the championship doesn't start the month before the championship. Okay, that's the full year ahead. It's after the final game of that year. It's okay, how are we preparing for the next year? Or it's even before that year is, all right, this year, just odds are stacked against our favor. We're still going to do everything we can, but this is the longer term vision for that 3 years down the line when we're going to be, boom, all those freshmen, softs are going to be juniors, seniors, and we are going to be kicking butt. break them into the smaller steps of what's the summer practices going to look like, what's the fall practices, what's the spring practices, whatever the sport is. And this is ultimately how we prepare and plan out further than you think you should for tip number 4 with that trick, the walk back plan and the tool. Identify that big goal for the next 12 months, break it down to the quarters, months, weeks, and see what we can do. Because once again, I'll say it, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Spun that one off a little bit. Tip number 5, pack your physical and mental luggage. Okay, if you're going for a trip, I hinted at a trip earlier, right? We're packing the suitcase, right? We must also pack and prepare for the mental game. If we carry too much unpacked baggage, stress, worries, other just random thoughts that we got going on, we're going to show up distracted and unprepared, right? If we're really honed in, focused on this goal, but we have this kind of thing that we're supposed to go help with here, that we're supposed to help with there, and it's like volunteering and stuff. That's honestly part of like the long-term goal, right? I'm just talking about just random other things that maybe we had more control over. All of a sudden, that mental luggage is overflowing, okay? You can't get that bag into the plane. You got to pay extra for it. But in this case, we can't even pay for it. That's why this trick is the mental luggage lock-in. Before this big performance bout, whatever the game match is, presentation, you name it, write a checklist of that mental luggage that we have going on and of what we want. For instance, what we want, we need the scouting, we need the visualization, we need that recovery work, prep, prehab, and rehab after the game. Anything need to really mentally lock in. We can also write down some of the other stuff and we can push it to the side. If we feel like we don't need to write down the other stuff, let's just not do it. Let's not even bring it out into the attention. Just keep that mental luggage, what we need packed in there. Then we can pair with a breathing exercise, meditation, a visualization to really kind of clear that mental baggage before the event, right? If we're trying to play, some people like to play just without any thoughts. That's what we're clearing for. If we want to play with a little bit of analyzing the game as we go, that's what we're going for. But ideally, all that other mental luggage that we didn't want to pack, leaving it out for sure. And for it, like, if you're traveling for a big game, you're going to have it scouted out. You're going to have the opponent scouted. You're going to have those recovery tools. You probably have your foam roller. You probably have your massage gun, whatever the case is. In addition to that, we're going to have the mental keys, the mental luggage that we want to have with us and leave the distractions, all the things we don't want behind so we can play freely. And that's ultimately also helping us prepare. For tip number 5, pack the physical and mental luggage with the trick, the mental luggage lock-in tools. Before that performance, write that list down if you need to for your actual mental luggage that you want to keep. Pair with some exercises, meditation, visualization. Put it in with something that you need so you can keep it before the event or clear it out. All in all, we covered 5 key tips for preparation. Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So I just want to go through them here super fast to give you that kind of summary rundown. But number 1 was preparation starts with questions. And it's the power of the 3 prep questions. Asking the right questions gives us clarity. And it was, how did I prepare? How have I not preparing? And what can I do better to prepare? In rough amounts. Number 2 was repetition creates instinct. The muscle memory method. Repeating preparation builds instinct, makes performance automatic if we put it on repeat. Number 3, prepare for life beyond performance. This is the whole life prep, right? Because preparing for all the aspects of life not only helps create more balance and confidence in the now, it's also setting us up for way down the line. But we don't want to think about that. We're still thinking about the next game that we can do. So ultimately, beyond the performance stuff, it's all the other performance in the non-athletic realm, and it helps the athletic realm. Number 4 was plan further out than we think we should with that walk back plan. The goals of the weeks, the months, the quarters in advance to set up the success for that year goal. And number 5 was pack your physical and mental luggage with that mental luggage lock in, clearing any mental distractions, get the luggage that you need, and ensure you show up fully prepared. Ultimately, preparation is really kind of the bridge between where we are and where we want to go, where we are going. So don't leave it to chance. Don't just roll the dice and see what happens. Lock in, prepare, give yourself the best shot for success. And then when that opportunity comes, you're fully ready for it. Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. And until next time, take these tools, get after it, and leave that failure in the dust. The Athlete's Health Podcast deep dive. Catch you this Thursday with our guest.